Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder to a surprise dev server. And today I wanna, for a change, look at a quote-unquote new map, which comes in various different flavors, and it is Volokolamsk. That has been a map in the game for quite a while, and it has been removed from the active map rotation due to the players very often banning it or voting to dislike it, which I both kind of understand and also find very bad, as we have so many close quarter city fights which do not suit especially high tier. And if we look at normal Volokolamsk, we might just remember it from arcade battles. This is the small version, but if you look at the surroundings of Volokolamsk, that is a much more serious map. And there are three distinct playgrounds. Here a bit more the open, where you can flank on the other side of the embankment of the train line. We will have just a look at the map in an actual custom battle, but also we have here this middle part, and between them there is this infamous forest, and especially with thermals and or white camouflage, if you're not in the thermal meta, then this is one of the most nerve-wracking experiences you can have. Then this is a bit of close quarters. Then there is also this area around the lake, especially here this side, which again is highly nerve-wracking. And then we have the hill of absolute dominance, where you can basically shoot into the spawn, because Gaussian map design. In the dev blog, which you might find the link to in the video description down below, Gaussian has said that they have reworked it, and so I think without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's go for realistic, because whatever. Let's go for a very safe data code, and let's just make this a thing so that we don't get disturbed. And let's go into it. I really like Volokolamsk. There have been some of the most memorable battles on this map, and I really think that this map could add to the diversity of War Thunder if, again, the map would be done in a reasonable fashion. That's a bit loud. Oh yeah, that explains the sound. And I just wanted to share with you my experience from the past and where things might have changed if memory serves me right. So this is a live commentary, by the way, and let's go. I'm taking here the Weasel because it is tracked, so it fits the surface, and we have a high horsepower to ton ratio so that we can go everywhere in a reasonably quick manner. Probably should have taken arcade, but there is always somebody moaning about it not being realistic, even though it's just a, what do you call that? Map discovery drive. I like the winter atmosphere. I like that this is a map that allows for both close combat, if you want it, but also for, yeah, I guess long range dominance. So, and according to the minimap, we now should arrive on the hill of absolute dominance, which, again, according to the dev blog, has been lowered. And yeah, it doesn't... I think it's much lower. You could completely oversee A. You could completely snipe into the spawn. And I think that's gone. I think it was around here where the trees are. That area was much elevated. So I think they have reworked the actual hill, but not the minimap. And that was the... was that the other side of the embankment? Not quite sure. But you can see there are still areas where you can get off some long range shots. And this area was always really nerve-wracking. The fight around the church was always pretty epic. It was in Gaijin fashion always kind of one-sided. Let's just go into the cap here. Look. And we can see there are many places to hide. Now, one of the big downsides of large maps is that you drive with little to no cover and then get one shot. And here you might have enough cover, but it's not claustrophobically small. Yet again, there is enough room to get bombed, RT-striked, and you don't really have too much places to hide. So there is that. The majority of cover is destructible. And that church in the middle, I think you cannot get into it. Maybe with the old surface interaction model, but anyway, let's move on. Let's go to B, so that you can see what I'm talking about with the lake, which we will visit before B. The problem is, a lot of people always think that only, how should I say it, horizontal cover in terms, or vertical cover in terms of houses, etc., is the only viable source of actual cover, like rocks, houses, etc. But I think you can do much more with the terrain, so it's also hull down opportunities where you can just drive back a few meters and you're in complete safety. And if you think about many tanks, especially at higher tiers, they were designed around to fight in this meta. So this is the area of the lake, and you can see it is kind of open to this side, not really accessible that easily for the western side where I just spawned from. And that is a typical Gaijin one. Oh my god. Really, Gaijin? Really? That is quite interesting. That we have to enjoy this for a moment. So much for the dev server. More than mandatory. Can we drive over it, or do we fall through it? Oh, isn't that awesome? Russian eyes, my man. Anyway, so yeah, it's the dev server, everything is subject to change, lots of known bugs, etc. Anyway, let's move on. But yeah, this is a very good location to also dominate then this side of the map, and a good transition area from A to B, if you know how to use it again. The last time that I actually played Volokolamsk was when we didn't have thermals in the game, and ever since I missed that map. So there you can see there are also a lot of canyons or ridge lines, whatever you want to call it. Lots of opportunities to have jump on somebody or to get jumped. Let's hope that Gaijin also still works on the sound system, so that you can hear enemies coming and then you can prepare for their arrival. Again, lots of destructible environment. Lots of cover, but I think you can shoot through all of it. And I think this is Ivan. Ivan the bot. Good. So there is now this area which is very important to know. It looks all very similar and balanced, but in fact it is not. Because now we arrive on the magic forest hill. You can see this in the south as a continuous elevated line, and it is marked with this, what is that, sand green color that I'm just driving towards. And again, very claustrophobical fighting conditions. You can get sniped from a large portion of the map, but also it allows you to snipe a large portion of the map. And there you can see this really wide open area. So if we just go there, oh, it's not active. Okay. So there you can see this is 700 meters away. This is 1.2 kilometers away. Yeah, something like that. And the spawns are uneven, which is obviously one of those things that I do not really understand. So in theory, the eastern part of the map should dominate the north, whereas then the southern part has an easier time, or the western part has an easier time in the south. Good. So again, very dense forest, and again, I see lots of problems here when you fight here with thermals versus tanks that have no thermals. It gives a huge advantage to peek in and out. Now the final really interesting portion is here C. And you can see that there is a train road, and you can hide behind it, but you cannot really easily get over it, especially again with the changes to the interaction with the surface, or the traction changes basically. And C is basically divided in two, which is one of the very old capture designs by Gaijin, and that is obviously really interesting, but can be really frustrating. It is very, very easy to attack by aircraft. Not that many situations where you can hide, although it's not impossible, but it's a dangerous game to be here on top of the embankment. And for the majority of tanks, if they cannot overcome here the steepness of the embankment, then one of the positions that you can get to is here on this crossroad. Yeah, exactly. So Volokolamsk, it looks a bit black and white, quite literally, but especially at higher tiers, it can... Interesting. But it can give various different combat flavors. It can really brighten up the grind. There are always problems with large maps in War Thunder. People are so indoctrinated with the hardcore grind that they are so used to top tier Call of Duty, what I call top tier Call of Duty. And so you don't really get the feel what a lot of tanks were designed around, to fight on ridge lines, you know, give off a shot, go back, reload, relocate, and Volokolamsk offers this. If you have a little bit of patience, be really great. So Volokolamsk is something that I really am interested about coming back to the map rotation, and we all should give it a serious try. You always can exploit any map in the game, and in my opinion, one of those constructive criticisms that I would have in order to motivate people to play on large maps are basically two things. First, give a 10 to 15% bonus RP on the income of large, because then it would outweigh the lesser killing action going on. And also, don't play there with tiny teams. That is really frustrating if it's just a 6 versus 6 or an 8 versus 8. No, it has to be a 20 versus 20 at least. That would really fill up the map. Plenty of opportunities to get killed and also to kill, which is probably more important. And I think then it could be a really good map. Maps just like Firing Arc, formerly known as Kursk, and Folder Gap, etc., they have potential, but the placement of the spawns and the placement of the objectives is very often done poorly. It's just like a really good map is designed by one set of the devs, and then the placement of the spawns and the objectives is done by a completely different branch of the dev team. I don't know. That's the only way that I can explain it. And Volokolamsk, I hope that the rework is enough. It looks promising, but it is really still very much recognizable, and I'm really looking forward to it. So this is the second iteration of the dev server of the 2.12 dev server for the 2.13 live server. And I will have another look at the Scharnhorst in another video, because there is something really important to discuss here, and let's hope that you guys are up for it. That's it for me today, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video and you were not bored by it. I hope you enjoyed this little map discovery or exploration video and drive. And if so, why not give this video a like? For you it's just a click, for me it means the world. Subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves, in the skies, and on the battlefields.